Hey everybody, it's Warren here. A couple evenings ago, I had an amazing opportunity to sit down and have a pretty awesome discussion with world-class power lifter, amazing person, huge inspiration to thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. Miss Jessica Buettner. She is an official world record holder many times over. She has type 1 diabetes. We got into discussions about that. We had a lot of great discussions on inspiration, motivation, nutrition, fitness, the whole nine yards. And I wanted to send out a big thank you to her for trusting me to have an interview and a discussion with her, and a huge thank you to come on board and agree to do this with me, as it was and is my first YouTube channel video and podcast. It was a super lot of fun. It's unedited, unscripted for the most part. I go on tangents. I learned a lot. I need to calm myself down a little bit, but she was patient with me as well. And again, if you dig it, subscribe, like, sure appreciate all that kind of stuff. I want to try to build this. It's only going to get better. I've got some amazing people in store for the future, for interviews coming up in the next coming weeks. I'm super excited. So until then, enjoy Miss Jessica Buettner, world champion athlete, and we'll talk soon. Thanks. Well, hey everybody, it's Warren here. We have one of the elite, most, I don't know how to say it, badass female athletes on the planet that I'd ever heard of, ever followed, and a huge inspiration to so many people. I'm super excited to get into some conversation with this young lady in regards to her journey, her path, what inspires her, where she comes from, her goals, her aspirations, all that kind of stuff. And I really truly believe that her story has inspired, is inspiring people, and will inspire incredible amounts of people in the future. So I'm very honored that Miss Jessica Buettner has chose or accepted my invite to come hang out on my WW Lifestyle YouTube channel. And thank you very much, Jessica, for hanging out with me.
Oh yeah, happy to be here. But I guess I have questions for you too, but
Uh-oh.
I'll let you ask away first.
Okay. Okay, no troubles. Well, a little bit about Jessica. I mean, obviously, and I know some details. I've watched some of your videos, lots of your videos. I've sat down and spent a bunch of time watching. You're incredible. I mean, you're one of the top world champions, like one of the top in the world in powerlifting, and you've set records. I understand, unofficial world records. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, because world records in powerlifting have to be set at the World Championships. So even if it's at nationals, which in my case it's unofficial still. But
Yes.
with
Yes.
COVID, it was yeah, everything got canceled. So never had a
Yeah.
chance to prove it yet, not until 2021.
Oh yeah, but now you got some time to prep and even kick those previous records to the curb and set some new ones, even bigger and better. So yeah, awesome. No, that's exciting. And you're Saskatchewan born, right?
Yeah, I was born in Prince Albert and I moved to Saskatoon. Actually worked in Estevan for about a year as a pharmacist there, and now I'm in North Battleford and I've been here for about a year and a half.
Very cool. Very cool. You're a U of S grad then?
Yeah, US.
Awesome. And then and I understand you were involved in track and field at the University of Saskatchewan as well, correct?
Yeah, I was for 4 years. I didn't finish my fifth year because it was too hard with school, but I was I was a field athlete, so started off doing pole vault actually, and then I sprained my ankle really hard and switched over to shot put, which is kind of an interesting transition, but it was probably all along what I was better at anyways.
Yeah.
Uh, Pole vault was just more fun though because you get to fly through there, and I definitely wasn't as good at it, but it's
That's
just one of those things for the fun.
I understand pole vault because we talked earlier. I was a decathlete. Actually, I was a decathlete and was the only Canadian on an American team. When I was 15 years old, I went to Papua New Guinea in Australia. And I was one of the 11 athletes that was able to go in the Sport for Understanding team. It was super cool. And had to ship my poles all the way to Australia and Papua New Guinea. And it's the closest thing to flying. And that's what I always say. It was like when you could feel yourself and that pole would just flex and shoot you up over the bar. There's just nothing quite like the feeling of that. So I totally understand the flying aspect of pole vault.
Oh yeah,
And
for sure.
that's great. And then, so you were more throws then, like you say, shot put and that kind of stuff.
Shot put and hammer and weight throw. Weight throw is the indoor version of hammer.
Yeah.
That was tons of fun. It's kind of dangerous indoors because I have seen someone get hit in the head with a weight before and it was nasty.
I bet.
It's risky. Yeah, it's a 20 for women. It's 20 pounds, but for men, I think it's 30, 35. Don't quote me on that, but
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, and so then you were a U of S grad in pharmacy, and when did you decide to get into powerlifting?
Actually, it kind of overlapped with my track and fields adventures in university because I sprained my ankle really bad when I was a pole vaulter, and then I switched over to throwing, and I did some lifting weights on the side, and that's when I started to compete in powerlifting. But I didn't start to take it that serious for at least another year or two.
Yeah, yeah.
It actually really helped my ankle to heal, but by then I'd already given up pole vaulting anyways and started to get way better at powerlifting. So I just continued on with that. Plus, I just really fell in love with the whole spirit of powerlifting and the competitions too.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I again, I understand that totally. And powerlifting then, so you started when you were basically in university, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you, so how many years and how old are you now then, Jessica?
I'm 25 now, and I started powerlifting when I was about 19. That's when I started competing. So
excellent, very cool. What was your first big meet you went to?
My first big meet was actually North American Championships, which for some reason were in Moose Jaw. Well, actually, I know why they were in Moose Jaw because there's a really, actually surprisingly high level group of powerlifters kind of around there, and they have a lot of world class equipment. So
very cool.
There's North American Championships for there.
Yeah, instead of going to Miami or someplace, you were at Moose Jaw.
Pretty much, yeah. Like they were in Costa Rica last year. I definitely could have picked a better place, but I never would have went at the time because I basically just applied for the team and I had never really competed.
Yeah.
I think I had only done one meet before that.
Yeah.
So
does the U of S have a powerlifting team then?
You know what? Now they do, and it's very small, but they do have a powerlifting club. They're not allowed to be an official university sport in Canada, which annoys me a little bit because in the States they actually have powerlifting teams and people can get scholarships for that in the States.
Wow, isn't that something? I'm surprised they wouldn't have something like that. I mean, they've got badminton.
Yeah, I know. And then you know what makes the cheerleaders aren't allowed to be an official Husky sport at the US. Did you know that?
I did know that, yes.
That's brutal. I would be so mad if I was them. And I think they are mad about it, and rightfully so.
And they should be. Yes, I agree 100%. They should be. Crazy. Yeah, I didn't know if they had a team or not. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, I'm learning things as well. That's pretty cool. I was going to ask, so you transitioned then from track and field. When you were younger, did you do much sports when you were younger? Like, were you a late bloomer, or was it something when you started, let's say you're 5 or 6? Because I had friends that when they were 6 years old could frickin' smoke anybody in 100 meter, and they could do the flexed arm hang and all that stuff for minutes. And I was curious, and I sucked at sports until I hit about 14 or 15.
Oh, oh yeah. Well, I feel I was always kind of strong. I did do gymnastics for a year or two when I was probably 5 or 6, and then I played soccer for about 10 years, and pretty much every other sport I could in high school.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have really considered myself athletic until I got to maybe grade 6 or 7. It was actually after I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I was kind of an overweight kid, and then when I got really sick with type 1, I lost a lot of weight, and then after that, I would say I found my athletic ability,
Mm-hmm.
especially in track and field as well. That's when I
Yes.
started
Yeah.
getting more into track too.
Gotcha.
You lose 20, 30 pounds, and then all of a sudden you're really fast when you feel better and you're not sick again. So
I totally understand that. I went from track and field to football. I played for the U of S Huskies. And I remember I wanted to be bigger. And as soon as my weight started to go up, my track suffered. Yeah, because I'm a decathlete. So I was trying to, like, even to run corners, to do anything that it was just harder on my knees, any of that kind of stuff. And my weight, it was just my weight. It took me out of that track and field game, was my weight of going into the football program. So
yeah, for sure.
Interesting. Well, that's cool. And then, so then when I'm trying to stay my brain, keep it focused on what I want to ask you. When did you find out that you were type 1 diabetes?
When I was 11 years old.
Okay. Yeah.
I was in grade 5, and I'd been sick for a long time, like probably 2 months. Like I just started feeling really thirsty, and I couldn't sleep, and I have to pee all the time, and I would drink water, and no amount of water I could drink would quench my thirst at all. And then I was just losing weight even though I was still eating. And then eventually I was at a soccer game in the summertime, and my Achilles were it felt like they were pulling together, like spasming, which your Achilles tendons aren't supposed to do.
No.
And it was making me fall over, and my parents noticed, and my mom took me to the hospital, got diagnosed from there. By that time, I'd lost about 20% of my body weight. I was only about 100 pounds, and then I remember weighing in at the hospital around 79 or 80.
Yes, yeah.
And and then I actually switched schools after that too, which there's all this confusion about what happened to me because it happened in the summertime. I remember my favorite part was a kid from my old school came up to me after I was diagnosed in the next year and said, "Hey, I heard you collapsed on the soccer field and got hepatitis B." And I just laughed really hard because diabetes, hepatitis B, but yeah, pretty much.
Oh, interesting. So then the next
spread.
Yeah, so then the next plan of attack, obviously, is you needed to get, and type 1 is obviously, that's the insulin dependent, isn't it? Like, I mean, I understand it a little bit. Don't get me wrong. I'm never going to bull anybody that I know everything about it, because I sure don't, but I do find it very interesting. My dad has diabetes, and my granny had diabetes as well. And I was diagnosed pre-diabetic 1 year ago and a couple days ago. Everything was way through the roof. Yeah, that's what turned my life around, was getting that diagnosis. And I flipped my whole way of thinking of life and decided I need to take care of myself. But when you found out, so then what is the next plan of attack to, I guess, for, obviously you have to monitor your blood sugars and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, type 1 is not that type 2 isn't hard to handle, but there's absolutely no reversing type 1, just because it's
yes.
Your body all of a sudden just decides to destroy all of your insulin producing cells. So I produce no insulin whatsoever. So I have to try and be my own organ, essentially. So that part is really, really hard, especially with athletics, trying to get the dose exactly right.
Absolutely. And especially at the level of athlete that you're at as well, in competition, especially powerlifting. I mean, I understand how hard it is with nutrition. I mean, that's what builds your body, basically. It must be tough for you then now, being a world-class powerlifter. being able to control that. Is it super tough? Obviously you monitor all the time and take your insulin when needed, but and then your diet must affect it obviously as well. So is it pretty tough?
Yeah, tons. Like it's not so hard if I'm not at work and doing things or working out or something, but um, trying to calculate is so hard because even if you eat the same thing, you eat the exact amount of carbs, you do the exact same amount of insulin, day by day, depending on what you're doing and what you've done the day before,
Yes.
you will not get the same blood glucose readings. They can be very different. Like for
Okay.
example, I ate my normal breakfast the other day, actually yesterday in the blizzard.
Yeah.
I did my normal amount of insulin, and then instead of my sugars being 5 like they should have been, they were 17 because I was driving in a blizzard and getting stuck all over town.
Holy crap.
Um,
Crazy.
so yeah, it's a
Wow.
guessing game, but I have some
Yeah.
tools at my disposal now, just mostly
Yeah.
how long I've dealt with it for. So
Yeah. And probably experience. I mean, the longer you live with it, the easier it is for you to understand signs and that, I would imagine, right?
mhm.
I mean, obviously your just life experience, you understand it better.
Yeah, absolutely. And even things like staying active is just so important. Like even if I just from all the shoveling lately, my sugars are way better. Like they're just more balanced
Yes.
and easier to control. Um, versus a few weeks ago, I was kind of getting into a period where I wasn't doing much at all, and then you're I would get all these crazy blood glucose spikes and drops, but now it's kind of more stabilized, which is really nice that I've been
Gotcha.
more active now. Which is why
Gotcha.
everyone should exercise because although they can't see that effect, and maybe you and I could, um,
Yes. Yes.
exercise is so good for us.
Absolutely, it is. I was diagnosed at what was it, 6'3" and 6'4" on my blood work. So what is that? Under I think 6'5", you're considered diabetic, isn't it?
Yeah, an A1C of 6.5.
Yeah, and I was 6'3" and 6'4" 1 year ago when I was tested, and now I'm down at 5'6", 5'5". Like everything has just dropped, and it was exercise. Honestly, it was moving and eating proper. I knocked sugars out right off the bat. Things like that. I just decided to make that lifestyle change, and I agree 100%. And that's why I think you're such an inspiration to people as far as doing this kind of thing and moving and just exercising is good. Just get out and walk, just move more. Number one is move more.
Yeah, just move more in general.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be killing yourself on the treadmill. It just has to be more steps in a day.
exactly. So many people think, well, I can't go to the gym because I can't afford the time to run all the time, and I hate treadmills and I hate this and that. You don't have to do much. You don't have to do much. Just move a little more, eat a little less, and it makes such a world of difference. And with things like diabetes and everything, your whole cardiovascular system and all that stuff. Do you do much cardio at all?
Right now, not a. I don't set out to do too much cardio. I am
Yeah.
playing rec league soccer once a week, and then I sometimes walk dogs at the SPCA, and that's kind of about it. So I don't get a ton of intense cardio. Maybe that stair climber once or twice a week, but lately it's just been mostly chores, shoveling, moving
Yeah.
stuff. I'm gonna get a dog right away,
Are
so
you? Good
I'll
for you.
be doing some jogging and more walking with that dog, I'm sure.
That's cool. What kind of dog are you getting?
It's a husky Malamute cross.
Is that the one I saw? I think you did Instagram. You did some stories with. Was that the one?
Nope, that's our family dog. He is
Oh,
probably the
okay.
same. He might be husky. I don't know if he's Malamute. He's too small. He might even be a husky Samoyed cross because he's just so friendly.
That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool.
Do
Yeah,
you
we
have
have
any pets?
yeah, we have two. We have an old English bulldog who's
Oh,
a
nice.
sweetheart,
So
and
cute.
we have a Frenchie puppy, little French bulldog puppy.
Oh, wow. I'm so jealous. I love French bulldogs.
Yeah, Paula's always wanted one. That's her dream dog. And we had clients, obviously we're photographers, and we had clients that raised them, and they'd sold all their last batch. We didn't even know they'd raised them. And they came out to look at their photos, and they said, we just gave the last one. It was sold the last one. And And Paula's like, what, you guys raise Frenchies? And then a few days later, they called Paula, of all people, sent her a picture of this little itty bitty Frenchie puppy and said, no, we had one come available. Would you be interested? And it's like, oh, there's no way we can say
Yeah.
now. So we have this.
So cute.
His name is Leroy.
Oh, nice. That's such a cute name.
Yeah, and Etta is our old English bulldog, who's a total sweetheart. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I love bulldogs too.
yeah, they're pretty amazing animals for sure. Amazing dogs. Well, that's cool. Did you have pets growing up?
Yeah, we always had dogs typically. And
Yeah, yeah.
we had a Jack Russell Terrier, and my brother always wanted to have hamsters, but the Jack Russell Terrier would always attack the hamster, and one of them died on account of the dog because they have such a high prey drive.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that, he was running around in his cute little ball with the plastic hamster wheel, and then
Yeah.
our dog snuck down the stairs, and she normally wasn't very sneaky, and just ripped it open, and that was the end of that.
That was it.
Traumatizing him in grade 2 or
Yeah.
3.
Yeah,
For sure.
exactly. Exactly. Well, that's cool. Well, I think pets are good for the soul. I do. And I hate to sound cliche about it, or I hate to sound kind of cheesy, but pets they bring a lot of happiness to people's lives. You know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, you want to lose your crap when they crap on the floor, especially a new little puppy. I swear I posted a picture on Instagram. It was a story, and it was the mop and the mop pail. I called it my puppy starter kit because
Actually though,
it was brand new. But they do. They're good for your soul, and a lot of joy is brought by pets, plain and simple. And it doesn't matter what pet; it's something like that. So, yeah, absolutely, very cool. Do you? I do want to talk a little more about your powerlifting, obviously, because it's a huge thing, and I'm incredibly interested and genuinely really would love to know more about it. I was more involved when I was at a younger age, more bodybuilding. I wasn't, and I lifted some pretty heavy weights. If you look back at my Instagrams, there's a picture of me when I could squat 475 and my legs looked like frog legs. And that was back in the early 90s when we wore cut off jean shorts and stuff.
oh my God.
They were so tacky. But I was never a power lifter. It was a different thing rather than working on my body, so to speak. And so obviously there's weight categories, correct? And how many weight categories is there then in powerlifting? Is there?
I think there's 7 for men and women. I think they just added another one for women, so
Okay.
This would be 8.
Okay.
I usually compete in either 72 or 84 kilo class, so that's 158 pounds and under, or else 180. My math, 189 pounds and under.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm usually on the lighter side of that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for those who don't know, you win a powerlifting competition. So you compete in 3 lifts. You squat, you bench, and then you deadlift, and then you get 3 attempts at each. The weight can never go down. And you have to try and hit the highest number you can out of those 3, because you win a powerlifting meet by getting the biggest total.
The total, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And what totals, what would be your totals? Like, what would be your 3 top lifts? Deadlift, squat, and bench.
Squat would be 210 kilos, which is 463 pounds.
Jeez.
And bench, my bench is my worst one, but I think it's 102.5, which is
230-ish, somewhere in there.
Yeah, 220, 225, 230, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And it's a pause bench too, so but that's the hardest part.
When you gotta hang it.
Yeah, 550, so 250 kilos.
Jeez, that's it. That makes me hurt even thinking about that, Jessica. I couldn't even imagine. I would break. I'm too old to do that stuff these days. I'm fighting an injury right now because I never really deadlift when I was younger. Again, I was trained more. I wasn't as much of a compound movement trainer guy. Obviously, squats I would do and things like that, but I was never a deadlift guy. And I literally about 2 months ago decided I was going to start deadlifting, and I was pretty strong at the time. And I started deadlifting. Next thing you know, I've been fighting a month and a half now. I took a rib and I twisted this clavicle. my collarbone. I twisted it.
Oh,
You can even see the lump where it, so I fought constantly to keep it back in place. So I haven't been able to train shoulders as much as I'd like. And my bench has dropped and all that stuff. But that was doing freaking deadlifts. Yeah. So I'm getting old. I
oh,
can't do that like I used to do. Any of
that
that.
disturbs me to think about
Yeah,
that happening.
it's brutal. It's brutal. But I've learned to work through it, and just ways to get through injuries. Have you suffered any injuries at all? I knock on wood. I hate to even talk about that kind of thing, because I hate to jinx anything, but
Oh yeah, I think it is best for most things unless they
mm-hmm.
will get worse by working through them. I
Absolutely.
think it's usually best, but working through it doesn't have to mean doing the same activity and pushing through the pain.
No.
You'd usually just want to modify the activity. So, for example, I guess my last injury was I irritated a disc in my back squatting in my living room at the start of COVID in about April. And it
Gotcha.
was kind of nasty. It just felt like I just didn't take long enough rest breaks, and it was late at night. It was like midnight, and I'm all sweaty, squatting in my living room. The bar kind of slid up my back a little bit, and then when I was at the
Gotcha.
bottom of the squat coming up, I just
Yeah.
felt something really nasty in my low back, like it just a pain.
Gotcha.
So I had to drop the weight, and I had to take. Oh, yeah, I just went to physio. Turns out I probably irritated a disc, or maybe the physio said something that would be equivalent to maybe a sprain.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha.
So then from there, that was actually a pretty long recovery, like a
Mm-hmm.
couple of months, I think, until I actually felt normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the key to recovering from that one was, and staying strong, was just modifying movements. Like I
Yes.
just was not really squatting much weight at all for a while, and just focused on deadlifts and bench and movements that made it feel good. The hardest part actually was being at work, because extension of the back actually was good for it, but standing on my feet all day as a pharmacist was not. So I'd have to try and go into the counseling room and like do my physio exercises a few times a day.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
That
Yeah.
was one.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I find. I found even with my shoulder and this chest and everything now is I just switched to bands. I use bands as opposed to free weights, just a constant tension, just to try. And that's really helped a lot. I would back off. And I know if I'm going to do a military press or something, I know that I'll feel it. And it's like, oh, someone's just slamming a knife in my shoulder. And it's like, nope, I just don't do it. I just stay away from anything that's going to aggravate it, and then focus on everything else to try to strengthen everything else around it until that smartens up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much to be said for that. I totally agree. Strengthening the muscles around is absolutely huge. Yeah, I've just injured my back a couple times, where that was probably the worst one in April, but
Yeah. Yeah.
also I have hurt my back before, and then just that high ankle sprain was really bad, and that was about 6 years ago. That was a bad one.
But how do you do that?
Snowboarding actually with my boot loose. Which snowboarding, you normally just don't get those kind of injuries, but yeah, my boot was loose and my edge turned over really quick, and I took such a bad tumble, and then
Ouch.
yeah, I couldn't even walk after that one, and it took me way too long to see a physio, so it legitimately did not heal for 3 or 4 months.
Ouch.
My
Ouch.
ankle sprains are so much nastier than low ankle sprains.
Yes. Yes.
Have you ever had one?
I have. I jumped off a quad. I went to my brother's place where I used to live, and I took a quad to his place, and I jumped off a quad, and it went pop, and the thing, and I will never forget the sound right to the top of my head. It was like that kind of sound, right?
Oh, yeah, it's nasty.
I'm trying to crawl up the steps into his place, and he wasn't home, and I got a big bag of frozen peas out of his freezer and stuck them on my ankle. Oh yes, yes. Yeah, injuries are definitely a part of it, and especially obviously when you get to the weights you're working with as well. I mean, there's the room for error goes way down at those kind of weights as well, which is kudos to you and what you do. I just think it's amazing what you do, with your powerlifting. That's pretty cool stuff. So what's next on the powerlifting thing? Obviously COVID kick the shit out of all the competitions this year. And like, how many competitions would you go to in a year?
Not a, maybe 3 or 4 provincials, nationals, worlds, and then 1 or 2 more maybe.
Yeah.
And then just other kind of powerlifting events. Like sometimes, for example, there's something called Deadlift for Cancer, which was something I would have done where you just go out and hit a deadlift max and it goes to charity and stuff like that.
Very
Not a
cool.
competition, but just fun stuff.
Absolutely.
Actually, last minute did get invited to one of the biggest powerlifting meets that, as far as prizes and media attention, there ever would have been, but it got canceled.
Damn.
And it was, yeah, it was in London, England,
How
and it's
cool.
called Sheffield, and got a very last second invite to that one. So I hope to, you have to win worlds to qualify for that. So that's what I want to try to do this year, if it's still
Yes.
going to be on.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And then there's nationals in May is my next thing. Do
We're
you have
we're
any events coming up for um,
for
any sort of sport related?
not a lot right now. I've worked for the last 15 years of my life to be a dance photographer. I love dance. I absolutely love dance. Ballet is one of my, to me, a ballerina is the epitome of athlete. And a lot of people, my buddies might laugh and whatever, but it's incredible body control and poise and grace and core. Um, so I've become this I'm known as a dance photographer, and we shoot a lot of big competitions, like big ones in Saskatoon, like all over the place, and video of them as well. And I've always been involved with dance, and they were all canceled this year, all of the
Oh
big
yeah.
competitions. And so they've all been rebooked for next year. We're crossing our fingers and hoping that this COVID lets us, leaves us alone for another year, because it broke my heart to watch these kids that have devoted their whole year, lifetime. I mean, my daughter, she's 16 and she dances hardcore in 14, 15 dances. And all of a sudden they're this close to competitions and they just pulled the pin on them. So it was very disappointing and very sad, for all the kids and all the organizers and everybody else and us. I love to watch it when I'm shooting it. I enjoy the whole dance thing. So those all got canceled. So let's hope next year everything fires up again, and let's hope we can get your competitions rolling and COVID leaves us alone for a little while. That's my hope.
Yeah, I hope so too. I would have been. Uh, I can picture that, just even being in high school with all the team sports. I would have been so sad if my grade 12 year would have gotten canceled. Like, just upset. It sucks if you're trying to get scouted for the States and stuff too, because I had a few friends who were trying to, and just thinking about all the videoing they did. No one really filmed before grade 12 and everything, so that would have sucked. That sucks for a lot of people, a lot of athletes for sure too.
Absolutely it does. And I have friends that I believe they're running some bodybuilding competitions though around. I see
That's true, yeah.
They are. There's some competitions, through the States. I have friends in the States, actually down in Florida, that just went to a big one and did really well. They're a couple that train and bodybuild together. And I think Vancouver might have just had one as well. So they're running, obviously under COVID restrictions, although sounds like everyone's getting shut down hard right now again.
Yes, that's true. Although they are having some bodybuilding shows, even in Canada, which is kind of cool. There's a couple strongman competitions as well. My Jackie actually just won Strong Woman Nationals in Montreal last month.
Very cool.
Yeah, super cool.
That absolutely is.
Yeah. So.
Very cool. Well, that's awesome. I wanted to, I want to ask you though, what would be your goal for some of your weights, your bench, we set goals. We always talk about setting goals. Goals are so important in life. They're important in sports, they're important in everything you do. Short-term, long-term goals. What would be some of your goals? I mean, again, you're at an elite level. What would be some of your goals, your personal goals that you would like to reach?
Well, for next, I'm gonna say my goals for next year inclusive, so till the end of 2021 would be squatting 228 kilos, which is 500 pounds. I really want to be able to do that. That's even a lifetime goal. For bench, I'd like to be able to do um, even 120 in competition. That's a lifetime goal right there. And then for deadlifts, I want to deadlift 600 pounds by the end of next, like 2021.
Crazy.
I want to be able to do it. I look at the numbers all the time. My estimated 1 rep maxes are there, but haven't actually done it or had the opportunity to do it. I like if it's in a competition, but I honestly don't even care if it was using straps or like a really whippy bar. I just want to deadlift 600 pounds.
You just want to grab that and lift 600 pounds. Yeah. Awesome. Good for you.
Pretty
That's
much,
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you, and you always talk about in some of these powerlifting competitions and that, like with the sleeves and the bodysuits and stuff, do you ever use any of that? Or
No, I compete. So there's there's raw powerlifting, and then there's equipped powerlifting. So raw powerlifting, it's basically what it sounds like. You're not allowed to use any equipment except for you're allowed to wear a belt and you're allowed to wear knee sleeves just for support, but they're not, they don't really give much at all for like an advantage. They're more just so your knees don't.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah.
And then there's equipped powerlifting, which there's different levels of that, but that's where you wear the really tight suit where you're walking out really stiff, and the bench suit. That's a whole nother thing. The technique is so much different, and the weights. There's this crazy potential for injury there too if you one little thing goes wrong, which is kind of scary. I don't personally like equipped lifting that much because you get bruises everywhere and it's really hard to do. You have to have someone help you to get in your squat suit and your bench shirt.
Wow. Yeah.
I just don't train with people all the time. So
Yeah. I see your Instagram live posts or your stories at whatever time you get off work and you're doing deadlifts and squats in your in your apartment.
You know what's crazy is Lifetime Fitness here is usually busy at 10 or 11 p.m. So I'm not usually alone, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
What's your preferred time to train?
Morning. I trained last night. I went in late and I've been so busy again with launching this whole project. I've just focused like the last how many days with this and I got my team working on it. I normally go in the morning, but I thought I said take care of it. And then last night I'm like, I took like a couple days off to launch everything. I'm like, screw it. I got to freaking get my ass to the gym. I went in last night. And of course you do a shot of pre-workout at 7:00 at night and then train till you're almost puking. Cause I train insane, like to almost failure, like to failure basically over and over. And I get home and I'm just like this all night long. And I didn't sleep much at all last night because of it. So I don't like training at night. I sleep better if I train in the morning. I find it gets my day rolling. And then by 8-9 o'clock at night, I'm a vegetable basically and ready to climb into bed. That's kind of how it works for me training wise. And obviously it depends. I mean, you're a pharmacist. What are your hours at Walmart? You work till 10 o'clock, do you at night? Is there 10 or 11 or what time do you?
Well, actually, because of COVID, now we're open at 7 in the morning and then we close at 9. So
yeah, okay.
It is like the turnaround shifts are really tough. Yeah. And then sometimes I either work usually 7 to 3, 10 to 6, or 1 to 9 p.m. And then sometimes you work 1 to 9 and then 7 to 3 the next day. So
Gotcha.
If I don't get a chance to work out in the morning, I do go after, but that's pretty rough.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I find I just have more energy in the morning. And I find it starts my day better. You know, you get up, you have your coffee and, you know, and when you train fasted or do you train, you know, after a meal?
Because I almost never train fasted unless it's by accident.
Yeah.
I usually like to eat about 2 hours before just because my insulin settles out.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that I used to train fasted years ago, and I felt,
Oh,
and I thought, this time,
crazy.
and yeah, exactly. And now I start to train. I like to at least eat an hour before, hour and a half, let everything settle, let the glycogen and everything get in your, into your muscles and get your, and I find now I have more energy. I found I had energy at the beginning of my session if I trained fasted before. Now, if I train after a meal, my energy continues throughout my workout so much better. It's more consistent, my workout, than it ever was fasted. And then that's what I find. It just, I need that energy, from the food basically. And, but
Mhm.
yeah, and never eat right before you train, because that's hard to,
That's hard too. Yeah, that's
I know
can
I've
be
done
a
that.
mistake.
Yeah, exactly. So what kind of diet are you on? What kind of food do you eat then to maintain, what you do, Jessica?
Um, I guess for me, I just track everything and I generally try and eat as healthy food, as much healthy food as possible,
Yep,
like as in less processing.
absolutely.
But I'm not a big person on restriction, like cutting entire food groups out.
Hmm.
If anything, diabetes has definitely taught me that it's more about amount. So, I mean, like and I think it's healthy to indulge cravings, otherwise you kind of drive yourself nuts after a while, and that's how you end up
Absolutely.
binging, which is
Yes.
something I always used to struggle with.
Yep.
But now if I want chocolate, I just buy these individual little packs of chocolate and I have like one of them whenever I want. So maybe
Absolutely.
that's one a couple times a day. Maybe that's
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For
yeah.
sure.
So
Well, that's
it's
cool.
pretty high protein anyways, and
Yep.
then
Yeah, I
I
agree
throw in
100.
the carbs in between.
I agree 100% with that, and I think so many people get caught up in the ketos and the this and that and the high, and I'm not against it if it works for you. It's a successful diet is something you do that you can do forever, and that's one thing that
Mm.
I've really learned in the last probably 5 months is when I flipped to the protein and calories. I don't really count macros at all. I don't. I just
Oh,
know that
nice.
I'm going to hit my calories in the day, and as long as I've got my 200 to 220 grams of protein every day, and I'm hitting my 2,800 to 3,000 calories, I'm going to be losing, an itty bitty bit of fat, and I'm going to be putting on an itty bitty bit of muscle at the same time, and it's long term. I'm not. I'm plan on doing this forever, and I eat well, and I think more people need to do that and follow a balanced diet. And again, I eat everything. I had a bowl of cereal before tonight. I eat probably
Yeah.
a loaf of bread every 2 days. People are like, Brad, you can't eat French toast and bread. And I say, I friggin' eat French toast and bread every day. But it's just, it works, right? And
Yeah, that's great that I totally agree. Like, as long as you get for building muscle anyways, as long as you get enough protein and then you eat relatively healthy and not in
yeah,
crazy amounts, you're gonna be fine. And I think it's healthy to not closely track everything all the time too.
absolutely.
Unfortunately, I kind of have to, but
Hmm.
I've come to a pretty good balance with things, obviously. Um,
What kind of calories are, what kind of let's say, how many calories would you take in a day?
right now, I'm in a bit of a fat loss phase, nothing too crazy.
Hmm.
To maintain, I would normally eat about 2,700, but right
Yeah.
now I'm on 2,300. And I'm trying something different with this fat loss phase. Usually I would go lower carb, so more keto, just
Hmm.
because it's
Hmm.
easier on my diabetes
Yeah,
usually. But
absolutely.
actually, I've been eating fairly high carb and lower fat and high protein, and it's been working just fine. And actually, my energy levels are better now that I'm eating more carbs, and I still seem to be losing fat. So
Excellent.
it's something I
Excellent.
decided I would try. Everyone has a fear of some sort of food. Everyone has a fear of carbs or fat. It seems one of the two. And there's no real reason for that. For type 1
Yeah.
diabetics, there can be because the more carbs I eat, usually the more insulin I have to do. And
Hmm.
not that that necessarily means I'll gain fat, but that just means that I have a bigger source of error. So if I guess too high,
Hmm.
with my insulin, I'll just end up having to eat more than I want to, or if I get too low, I'm
Yeah.
gonna feel terrible. So that's why a lot of diabetics go lower carb, but trying it higher carb for a while with a lot of extra activity has had really good results this past couple months. So
Excellent.
I'm
Excellent.
interested to see where this goes.
Absolutely. I totally understand that. When I started my journey a year ago, I did keto right off the bat. I did about
Yeah.
two and a, and strict keto. You'll get people
Oh
talk
no.
about dirty keto, right? And it's like, no, I literally was 20 grams of carbs max a day, and I was strict on it. I weighed all my food. I made sure, and I remember I'd already lost about 20 pounds, and I remember going to bed, going in at 11 o'clock at night, and I've got a freaking bowl of bacon rinds and a big plate of freaking extra old cheese from Sobeys. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm losing weight eating this crap. But it was awesome,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm thinking,
Actually though.
what? And it's like, but it was keto and I was on true keto. Like I did not throw myself out. You know, I mean, I kept right in ketosis for almost 2 months. My problem with that was I got gout
Okay.
because of the fats and the rich foods. Next thing you know, I'm at Christmas and I'm hobbling around in Midtown with my daughter and my wife, and I can't even walk the length of the
Oh
mall
no.
in my foot. And that was because of the keto and the high fats and like I say, the richness of the foods. And then I tried where I would take it out. And I really did experiment this whole year with my diet. So I would throw myself out of keto, carb out, take a day or two to throw myself back into keto, do that for 3 days, and then snap it out. And I did that for about a month. And then I just totally evolved it. And then I tried the Mediterranean. Then I tried a plant-based diet. And I legitimately gave it an honest effort. That lasted not even a week. I was done. I didn't know how people can do a plant-based diet. This is not my thing. I couldn't get enough protein, and if I did, it felt like someone was kicking me in the stomach because I'd eat bags of beans and legumes and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, I don't even know how anybody could do that.
Yeah, same. I tried it for maybe 3 days and then I couldn't get enough calories at all or enough protein. So I'm just end up at McDonald's eating fries, which are vegan,
Yes,
but
they are. Exactly.
that's not what I wanted. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I think keto shouldn't be long term because there's just a lot of health effects that people experience, especially when you haven't been eating
Hmm.
that way for a long time.
Yes,
Like, yeah,
yes, absolutely.
gout, and if you have pancreatic issues,
Yes,
gallbladder issues. A lot
absolutely.
of times, if you're eating strict keto like you were, which not many people do because
Yeah,
they're not able to do it, so that's impressive.
yeah,
But they don't get enough vegetables because vegetables still have carbs in them.
absolutely. They do. You bet. It's
Yeah.
it's as close to a carnivore diet as you can get. Other, substituting a little bit of meat again for the cheese and the, stuff like that. But it was, and I love cheese. So that's one thing
Me
now
too.
because cheese is higher calorie. I don't eat as much as I used to. I used to go through blocks of that extra old cheese from Sobeys, my favorite cheese in the world. But now, because of the calories in it, I don't remember the last time I bought a block of extra old cheese. Kind of makes me sad. But I,
Aw.
I get the light cheese though, and I'll get the low fat cheese, and I still eat that, which tastes great if it's melted on something. Maybe not as good like eating a stick of it, but I still get some cheese anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing too. That's me, cheese, and then peanut butter is one thing that I don't eat as much of right now as I used to. I would honestly eat probably 500-600 calories a day in peanut butter, which sounds like a
Wow.
lot, but it's really like
A couple
it's not that much at
tablespoons.
all actually.
No, I
Yeah, it's
know.
like 5 tablespoons maybe, which
Yeah,
not a
exactly.
lot.
I know you see all these people, oh, I eat all this peanut butter, and it's like, it's high calorie, people. Peanut butter is not the end all be all for weight loss at all.
No, it's not good. It's for weight gain for sure. I was
Yeah,
doing a bulk, and then peanut butter was my best friend because I would just put it on everything. It's not low calorie. It's not high protein. It is for gaining weight
yeah,
or a keto diet, I guess.
yeah. Do you ever eat PB2?
I don't like it. I just like
No.
peanut butter. I mean, I will. I'll put it in things sometimes, like if
Yeah,
I'm doing baking or
yeah. One of
stuff.
my
I just don't think it's that good.
one of my favorite snacks by itself, it's like dry. I
Yeah.
put I put it in. I get the little 50 cal Jello packs. I don't know, the little chocolate puddings that you can get at Walmart in the
Oh, those
cooler
things.
aisle.
Yeah.
They're 50 cal. They're chocolate pudding. There's not much to them. I'll throw a tablespoon or two of PB2 in that, mix it up, and put it on a piece of toast. So it's
Oh, that'd
chocolate
probably be good.
chocolate peanut butter on toast is all it is, a spread. And I now have one of those a day. That's just kind of my
I just want individual packs of peanut butter. So
Oh
I
yeah,
know what I'm eating, because
exactly.
there's no way to know unless you actually weigh your toast and peanut butter like a psychopath, which I mean, I have done. It's
Yeah,
just when I've been on really restricted diets.
yeah,
Um, but I just, the individual measured ones.
yeah. Do you use a scale, a food scale at all when you cook?
Well, actually, right now I'm doing a bodybuilding hybrid program. So I'm just
Yeah,
doing the powerlifting movements once a week each, and actually doing mostly bodybuilding movements. And
very cool. Yeah,
so I have weighed stuff out just because I'm curious and I'm tracking everything pretty closely.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
And I tell people
have
that
you?
too is one of the most important things I think you can buy when you start a journey or you start your lifestyle journey is a scale.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it holds you accountable. And I still use it all the time. Even on things I'm curious, I kind of know how big that potato is or how much it's going to be, but I will still, or if I've made in the air fryer, I'll do a big thing of French fries or chicken strips. I'll still throw them on a scale. I get my 100 grams, 150 grams, 200 grams, whatever I'm shooting for. And then I know exactly how many calories I'm getting. And it's easy. It takes seconds just to put it on the counter, do it. And once you get in the habit of using it, that made a big difference in my lifestyle change was using that crazy stupid little scale you buy for $20. And I always tell people it's important to have one of those.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, yeah. So you're doing more bodybuilding. Like, do you have a coach? Do you, Jessica? Who's your
Yeah.
coach?
Eric Helms, who's a 3D MJ coach.
Mm-hmm.
He is my current, yeah, he's my current coach for now.
Very
And
cool.
yeah, no,
That's
he's great actually. Very, very knowledgeable.
awesome.
Um,
Awesome.
I think he's a, oh, don't quote me on this. I think he's a doctor of exercise science. Like he does a lot of research and stuff. Lives in New
Yeah.
Zealand right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, 3DMJ is a really big natural bodybuilding group, I guess I
Okay.
would say. And they have some really, really high level coaches and athletes.
Awesome.
So I managed to get in there just for
It's
participating for a
exciting.
while. Yeah.
How long have you been in there with them?
Not long actually, probably 2 or 3 months.
Okay. And they're online as well? Like, are they have a site, do they, or anything like that? Or
They do, yeah. The coach I had before, his name's Justin Reason, and he's a really, really good powerlifting coach. I was coached by him for, I want to say, 3 years.
yeah.
And the only reason I switched is just because I wanted to try the bodybuilding side of things for a little while and take a bit of a break. I'll unsure which one I'll stick with for competing,
Yes. Yes.
because they're all have different, yeah,
Very
they're honestly both a really good. I might keep the nutrition coaching actually for with 3DMJ, even if I do go back to my powerlifting coach Justin,
yeah.
who
Yeah. Okay.
also has a site online and
Hmm.
everything, and I think he's accepting clients right now. Although it's kind of weird with COVID,
Yeah. Yeah. Things are different for
emergency
sure.
appointments and stuff.
Things are different for sure. And I'll definitely I'll put up a link on this as well if you can get me the information. Again, this whole Zoom thing with this channel's new to me, so
Oh, for sure, yeah.
but I would love to. I'd love to put up some of your links as well and things like that. Yeah, I think that's very cool. I remember the first time I heard about you. I wanted to talk a little bit about inspiration, things that have inspired you, people, instances. And that's what I found. I've really in the last year really paid attention every day. I wanted to wake up. My goal is to wake up and be inspired by someone I meet. Anybody. If it's the cashier at the grocery store, if it's the receptionist at the doctor's office, if it's the person who helps me buy a shirt, at a store. I genuinely this was my goal, and my part of my lifestyle change was to wake up and meet someone, anybody I meet that day, to find inspiration in them, genuinely listen and be inspired. And I've done that. And that's why I really wanted to talk to you about people that have inspired you along the way. I know someone that you have inspired, and I'd like to talk about her in a little bit here. And she inspires me, this girl. She's a local girl, Megan Yockey, who, I
Oh,
don't know.
Megan, yeah,
She's a
she
one of a
actually worked at
kind.
our Walmart a bit, and I just noticed right off the bat that I didn't want to say anything to make it weird, but she's really jacked.
She is, and she has got one of the biggest, kindest hearts and souls of anybody I know. And I'm a
Yeah, for sure.
big fan of her. And I think that's how I'd noticed because we got to be friends at the gym. We work out at Battle City, the same gym, and she, we just started talking one day, and next thing you know, and she trains very similar to me, like very in the zone, focused, like just mind over muscle training, and watched her, and she inspired the heck out of me. And then I think she commented on one of your posts on Instagram, and I think that's how I found you. And I'm like, well, who's this Jessica? You know, and I look and I'm like, wow, she's freaking incredible. And then I asked her about it, and that same thing. And I know you inspire the heck out of her. She inspires me. You know, she blows my mind what she can do. And just, she's an amazing girl for sure. And I'm excited to see what she does and, you know, in her life. So, oh, that's cool. Very cool. But yeah, I wanted to talk about people that inspired you, you know, down, you know, let's say in the last month or, you know, or in the last year, who's inspired you?
The last month or the last year in
I'm gonna,
particular?
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
On the spot. Okay. Well, actually, you know, I'm going to take you back a few years more than that.
Okay.
Kimberly Walford was actually one of the reasons I decided I really wanted to get into powerlifting because I saw her deadlifting what was at the time a world record, and I think actually it still is the one that we're all trying to officially beat. And I just thought that was so badass. If you don't know who um, she's won IPF World Championships 7 times. She's
Okay.
actually in my weight class, and I competed against her. I've come a long way since because when I started powerlifting, yeah, she was my absolute idol inspiration. I still look up to her because she is the absolute goat of women's powerlifting for sure. Just because
Very
she's
cool.
won so many times, but
Very cool.
yeah.
Did you get a
But
chance to,
actually,
have
to
you
meet
met
her,
her?
yeah, no, I met her at Worlds because we competed against each other
Yeah.
last year in 2019 in Sweden, and I actually got silver to her by 2.5 kilos, by 5 pounds.
Oh,
So it was the wildest thing. Competing in my first open age group meet and being on the podium next to her and some of the other women as well, because it was arguably one of the most competitive weight classes that there ever has been.
yes.
Just as far as the depth of it, like I think there was 7 or 8 of us within 10 kilos of each other, which you just never see.
Wow. Wow.
But yeah, and as far as if we're going with this year, meeting Thor Bjornsson, the mountain.
Oh, yeah, yes, yes.
He was so cool. He came to Saskatoon. We just did a supplement world, did a meet and greet with him. He was honestly the coolest and just super down to earth. Because you meet some of those other people who are very famous like that. Like I met Larry Wheels, and that was definitely a different experience because I guess I don't want to. I mean, I guess he just didn't seem, and I don't blame him because he got dragged on a flight from the Middle East to come to Saskatoon. So he didn't really seem as enthusiastic about being there. But Thor was really personable. I told him I wanted to get a 250-kilo deadlift, and he just lit up and said, "Oh, no way, that's super cool. I hope you do it and everything." And I said, "I will." And then, even though I wasn't at the time, this was in November, very sure that I'd be able to do that. It was just something that stuck with me for the whole year for sure.
And it will stick with you for the rest of your life.
It will, yeah. You know, I did do that. I did deadlift 250 kilos at Nationals, which was a 18-kilo PB, which is huge for someone who's been lifting for quite a while.
Yeah.
In the past month, though, I can't even.
That's cool.
People I draw inspiration from, I guess, every day. I wouldn't say inspiration necessarily. I'd say more motivation because I'm competitive, and in my mind, the inspiration comes from in here. It's the motivation, seeing other people do things that get me fired up and competing.
Yeah.
makes me feel competitive against others, I guess.
Perfect. And I just saw a saying the other day, and I've seen it before as well. You were talking about your hero. What's her name? The what
Kimberly
was
Walford?
that's the one? Yeah, the Yuki. We were 5 pounds off. In
Yeah.
worlds. She I saw a saying the other day, and it's when you're what is it? When your heroes become your when your idols become your rivals. That's what I saw. And it's kind of true in a way. I remember I was a musician for a lot of years, 15 years. I've got you can go and
Oh, okay.
combine, you can put my name in iTunes and find my music in there. And I'll never forget, I was young, just started out, and I was going on stage and at a big festival, and it was a guy named Jason McCoy, like the Road Hammers from Canada, and he was on right after me, like. And I'll never forget, I'd listen to his music, and I'm just like, oh, I'm standing backstage, and I'm just like this young dude trying to, gonna play music. And he come out and he shook my hand and spent the time. He goes, hang around, I want to talk to you after. And we went back in the green room after, and I got to spend probably an hour visiting with him. And now when I see him, we talk, we're friends. To this day, I will never forget the moment I met him, because that changed my life. And the fact that he took the time and was a real person to literally give me some legit attention, I'll never forget that moment. So that's cool. When you talk about her, I totally understand that. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's crazy the small moments that change our life like that.
Yeah.
Look at my first powerlifting meet. I was competing against someone. Her name's Rayston, and she was still is one of the best in the world with equipment, like equipped powerlifters. And she actually won the World Games for powerlifting before, and I was just didn't even know the rules, didn't have a belt. I was wearing my New Balance running shoes. She just lent me her belt for deadlifts, even though she was competing against me.
Yeah.
Maybe she did. Someone else brought up, maybe she just did that because she knew you were gonna lose anyways. But I don't think that was it. I think she's just genuinely a nice person, and that really stuck out to me. And
Very
just
cool.
having fun at that meet was why I stuck with powerlifting, actually. So.
Absolutely. Oh, that's amazing. I mean, your story is amazing, and it is inspirational and motivational. Like you mentioned, like you say, inspirations within motivation. I promise you, there's other girls out there that'll be gunning for what you're doing. And the thing is, and you're inspiring them and motivating them to pursue and to be better, in the sport of powerlifting and in life in general. And I think, yeah, it's pretty cool, what you're doing for the sport and for a young woman with type 1 diabetes in as such an elite athlete, at a world level. It's pretty amazing, and that's pretty cool. I guarantee there's a lot of young girls and men and everybody for that matter that are incredibly inspired and motivated. And that's the thing, always competition makes you better, right?
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Damn right. Yeah. When there's someone gunning for you on your heels, it pushes you to be better. You don't get lackadaisical and you don't sit back. You never want to sit back if there's someone chomping at you. And it just makes everything better all the way. It just raises the bar, along the way. Yeah, very cool.
100%.
Very cool. I know we talked really quick about, in our text before about Lyle Sanderson. And so he was gone by the time you were there, were you, or at the
Well,
university?
he wasn't. Yeah, he was gone. He had retired from coaching, but he's always a legend. Everyone knew who he was, and even though it's from PA, everyone knows Lyle.
Worldwide track and field. Yeah, my uncle. It was my mom's sister's married to him, and he was some of my quotes. That's why I grew up track. I grew up at Griffith Stadium every summer. I ran. Dave Ostertag was one of my first coaches. I don't know if you ever knew him. And there was Diane Jones Kanahowski she was always kind of around because he was her coach, Olympic medalist, all that. I mean, it's like, so track was always big, and he was such a massive inspiration to me. And there's still some of his sayings and quotes that I think of all the time. And one was a little more finesse, a little less strength. That's what I was trying to get into his old Volvo car, and I'm banging away on the door handle. He come around, he goes, click, He goes, a little more finesse, a little less strength, Warren, will get you further in life. That's what he said.
Stuff like that, yeah.
So yeah, he's always inspired me, and yeah, I always think of him. And he passed away there a few years back, and a sad day down in Mexico with my parents. Actually, they were all down there at the time, but yeah, he's a living legend for sure in the track and field and the world stage for sure. And yeah, that's cool. That's pretty cool. Well, I don't know. I wanted to ask you, one of the coolest things I ever did in my life was representing Canada. What was your...
Oh yeah, at that
like
beach
when
you were
you're...
talking about?
Yeah, like for you, when you represented Canada, that's pretty cool, right? Like what was your feelings when you stand there, you've got your Canadian outfit on, and that's just pretty cool. Like what was your...
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of the best feelings it's one of the best feelings in the world. And I never really thought of myself as that patriotic until at Junior Worlds in Texas in 2016. I'm
Yeah.
standing on the podium getting my gold medal holding a Canadian flag, and it just makes you want to cry, because it's such a powerful emotion. Especially feeling like you represented your country well. There's absolutely no feeling like that. And it doesn't hit you until moments like that, where you have a moment to sit there and really appreciate the gravity of that.
Yeah. I used to remember, like, to me, it was like the opening ceremonies, where when everyone's there and it's like, whoa, the energy. And then when it would all kind of come down was the closing ceremonies, when everybody is kind of like sad. I mean, not that you're sad, but it's like, and anticipation that builds, and it builds to anything, any of our trips, as photographers and as musicians, all the big gigs and that. The anticipation is so exciting. You get there and it's gone and it's over.
Yeah.
And you have your memories, right? But yeah, representing Canada and wearing a Canadian flag and having that kind of a thing, to me, was one of the highlights of my life. And it's pretty cool. So you did Worlds then. How many times have you been to Worlds?
Twice as a junior, so 23 and under, and then just once as an open athlete. So
okay,
open athletes is 23 and above, 23 to 40 years old. Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm so proud to wear that uniform.
Damn right. I was gonna try to dig my coat out, because I've got the old Adidas with the white stripes, and I've got my Canada with the little maple leaf inside the A's, right, and the whole 9 yards. And I've got it in my storage here somewhere in my sea can, and I was going to try to bring it out tonight and see if I could find it. I don't know if it fit me. I was young. I was like 15 when I wore the thing last. But yeah, there's just something about when you get to fly your flag for your country. It's amazing. And we do live in the greatest country on the planet. People can bitch about it all we want. We live in the greatest country in the world, and that's hands down. It's great to visit, but there's just something about Canada that will always be the greatest. There's my little flag waving for Canada.
Yeah. Honestly, there is, though. I have really traveled to a lot of places. I mean, a lot of people have traveled more, but I've really been to a lot of places in Europe. I've been to a fair amount of places in the States. Haven't yet been to Africa or Asia, but I gotta say, yeah, you're right. There is something about Canada. It's the people. There's such a diverse landscape as well.
Absolutely.
Like, you can, from coast to coast, I've had some incredible experiences here. And even with COVID, I've had some really, really fun trips we've went on this summer with our friend groups, just to the mountains in BC. It's been fantastic. There's some incredible sites that I've seen. I used to see the Northern Lights all the time in PA, and they're so beautiful. And that's something people travel miles and miles and miles. Like, they come from other countries to see that kind of stuff.
You bet.
I used to be able to see it every day, just a couple miles out of town.
Exactly. And we can walk out here at any night and look up and see the Northern Lights. And it's same. We have a lot of friends in Texas. I spend a lot of time down there, and they don't see any of that kind of stuff. And it's, unless you sit on a clear night and you look up and they're dancing, And it is absolutely magical. There's a reason they're one of the wonders of the world. And it's just that surreal, again, almost brings tears to your eyes in this just moment of, yeah, it's just surreal. And unless you've experienced that, and that's Canada. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
and
non.
dancing is really accurate of a term. I actually saw the
Mhm.
best northern lights that I think I ever have on the outskirts of Saskatoon on the north end, actually. And they were just
Yeah,
dancing just bright above me in the summertime.
absolutely.
It was wild.
Absolutely. Well, very cool. Well, I appreciate you doing this so much, Jessica. And it means the world, that you're my first podcast webinar for my new
Nice.
channel. So, and again, I thank you very much for doing this. It means the world, and I know you got to get rolling, and I got to get rolling. I got to go grab a camera and keep up with my day job for a while longer, anyway.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thanks for having me on. It's been really
Absolutely,
great, and I love
absolutely.
having the diabetes talk as well. So,
Yeah, that was really important to me, was to discuss that. I think it's important to bring that to people, and that you can move forward through that, because I think some people get those diagnoses for certain ailments and illnesses and think that that's it. I had cancer. I had full neck dissections, and I had thyroid. There's my
yeah.
cancer ribbon on my wrist. So I mean, I've gone through all that, and there's moments when you think, I don't know if I can just keep doing this, to push myself that hard, but you can. You really can. It's about controlling this, and
Mhm.
just being able to take control of yourself and understand that you can. And I hate to say do anything you want. Obviously, there is limitations sometimes physically, obviously, and things like that. But you sure can always be better than you think you can. And I mean, you've proven it with your diabetes and things like that. And I just want people to understand that, yeah, you still can kick ass, you
Oh,
know,
yeah, for sure.
big
Absolutely.
time,
I
big time.
always, in relation to diabetes, anyways, I just say that um, there's nothing you can't do with diabetes. It's just going to be more difficult.
Yes, more work,
Yeah,
more work
more
for
work,
sure.
but it's there. You can do it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And it is. And there's, honestly, it's one of those things. The more work, the better the reward. Is
Yeah, no, exactly. I always say that too.
absolutely. If you're busting your ass and you're pushing yourself to work really hard and you're taking it to the next level, the reward at the end of that journey is that much sweeter. And
Mhm.
absolutely. No, I'm 100% with you on that. Well, very cool, Jessica. Jessica Buettner, thank you so much. I'm going to put some links up as well with the video, and I'll put your Instagram if you like and all that stuff. And do you have a YouTube channel at all, or?
No, not yet. I just sometimes post some videos on the Supplement World Canada YouTube channel,
Okay.
so I can give you a
Yeah.
link to that too.
Yeah. Okay. I will. Totally.
Yeah.
And I'll put that stuff up for you. Absolutely. I will. And maybe one day we'll get together at the gym and you can kick my ass.
You can do a powerlifting workout and then
Oh,
we'll do a
we
yeah.
we should do that actually, and everyone will laugh because I'll be like this wimpy old dude, and you'll be like, "Freaking, come on, buddy, put on some real weight on that, some bitch." Yeah, that's what'll happen, I guarantee. That was
Powerlifting workouts aren't even that bad at the time. Sometimes you're just sore for like many days after. That's the only
exactly.
part. You'll be like, this is easy, and then
But
the
I'm
pain
fit.
sets in.
But I'm 51, so many days after could be many weeks after. So we'll see how that all rolls. Again, thanks so much. We'll discuss that. I would love to do that actually. That'd be super fun to go in sometime when you're training, and that would be really cool.
Oh
But
yeah, for sure.
very cool. Well, thanks, Jessica. Have fun this evening, and like I say, I'll get this all posted up. And until next time, my name's Warren Noyce. This is Jessica Buettner, the amazing Jessica Buettner Badass. WW Lifestyle, my new YouTube channel. Check it out. Check out all the pages, all that kind of stuff. I definitely appreciate that. Ring the bell. I'm going to do all the cliche things. Put a like on it, and yeah, I'm excited to post this for everyone. And yeah, I'm really excited. So until then, I'm Warren. Thank you so much, Jessica, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. Have a good night.
You're very welcome. Thank you.